YouTube. What up? What up? It's your boy Sonny Winters back. We are Flatbush, Sonny Winters, circa 19XX. We here. We just tapping in. It's been a minute. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give it a minute or two before I really start talking about what we're getting into tonight. Share this stream a little bit. Make sure ain't no curses or nothing foul coming out my mouth that's gonna stop anything from, you know, being monetized in the future or looked at or taken seriously. So just give me a second here. Got 30 seconds. If you're watching this on a playback, you can just skip through it. Give some people time to tap in. We just pretty much chopping it up tonight. Hope everybody is well. It's been a minute. You know what I mean? It's been a minute. Been creating. Been doing a lot. Helping out here and there with creative projects and just a lot of stuff on the ground. We are Flatbush. Just a lot of different things going on. We're gonna get into that tonight. We just chopping it up. We ain't tapping with the people. Kind of wanted to just jump in what's going on right now. I thought it was kind of important with the whole Kanye thing. And is it 2 minutes? I didn't want to say his name within the 2-minute mark, but just with the brothers, mental health is important. Big up to Jai Ace TV. Ace is always tapping in with the mental health thing. Hope this mic is on. It's important. I'm not saying that's an excuse or it's mental health that got anybody doing anything that they do, especially somebody that we know is sane and in their right mind. But it is real, so we want to make sure. Let me make sure. Speaking of make sure. I'm about to, people be sitting on here, they talk to themselves. I got my dad, he's coming in, chop it up with us today. Got a few other strong minds. It's definitely not about one voice. It's definitely not about one mind. So I like to be able to pull everybody in. I'm gonna drop the link. So whoever wants to tap in can tap in. Don't forget to follow. You know what I mean? Hit that subscribe button. Go crazy on that like button. You know what I'm saying? Go crazy on that like button. We're gonna get into it. If it's your first time here, welcome. You know what I mean? Let me see if I'm a little rusty with this StreamYard. You know what I mean? Big up to Jai Ace TV. He always encouraging the StreamYard. And so I'm here. Let's see what we got going on. I got this right here. See what I'm saying? As I say that, hold on. Here we go. Pop, what up?
Hey, peace, son. How you doing, man? How's everything?
Everything is good. Everything is good, man.
I got a question for you.
You got a question for who, me?
Yeah, you.
You got it.
You got your son's coming out of college, man.
Right now?
Right now, we're going to have to go here, man. Your daughter's 2 years in. That's a father's love. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. That's definitely, I'm proud of the both of them, man. Extremely proud of the both of them. I can't celebrate that enough. So I definitely appreciate that. Big up Sarai, big up Marcel, man. Y'all doing your thing.
My grands. Peace. Yeah, so what's up, man? How you doing? How you rolling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. To figure out, come on here, we chop it up. There's a lot going on. We've been chopping it up with Face, been chopping it up with Popeye. Big up to y'all. Just talking about different things. My man Ace. Brothers always having these conversations. Brothers always having these conversations. I always think it's important to have these conversations so the masses know that, where brothers is at, whether we agree or disagree. You know what I'm saying? We internet thing can be a weapon against us or a weapon for us. So I think it's important to tap in and figure it out.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. We have to understand that we're in a country that doesn't allow anything unless it's marketable. I know you think there's an exception to that rule. There has never been an exception to that rule. You don't get the technology of cell phones that is available in Europe, Northern Europe, Japan, and China because it's not marketable for people to make money here off those phones. I can show you that how marketing of America. So we're being told how to talk and what to talk and what to talk about because it serves their market. But we should, like you said, we should just keep an open mind about it and not commit genocide on each other just because we have a different opinion about something.
And that's key. Hold on, let me see. That's key what you said. Hold on 1 second, Paul. Let me just see if I can figure out how to get the face real quick.
While you're doing that, let me say.
Yeah, we talking about what's going on, self-destruction. Are we our own worst enemy? But you just said communication, speech. You know what I'm saying? Freedom of speech, all that. So that's what we going with.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to have freedom of speech, but we don't have freedom of speech. That's not what we're being. First off, it's the origin of freedom of speech, to be able to talk about the government, not be able to talk about each other. The concept is even limited in terms of you can't yell fire in a crowded field on the mall. That's not freedom of speech. So there's limits to it. So for us to talk about freedom of speech, we have to remember that it wasn't designed for us to talk about each other or talk about people who disagree with us. We should just be able to just say what we have to say in a forum where it's allowed to be said. People, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I have, Truman. I was a principal of Truman School, so I have a sweatshirt that says Truman on it. Last weekend, I was walking in the store, and this brother was coming up to me. I mean, this sister was coming to me. She was ready. She was hunting for bear. She was coming to me like I owed her money, and I was looking at her like strange. And the brother was coming up behind her, but he wasn't acting like that. So when she got up to me closer, she said, "Oh, I was about to put you on blast, brother. I thought your sweatshirt said Trump, Turm, Trump, but it was Truman, A-N. She didn't see the A-N, so she thought it was a P. And she was about to put me on somebody she didn't even know. That's not freedom of speech. You know why? You know why that's not freedom of speech? Well, I'm not going to get that. That's not freedom of speech. And that's what we have to learn to make a distinction by. Take Kanye, the situation. We talked about this. Everybody has an opinion about what Kanye said, didn't say, did what did it. Your opinion, we have to relax. We're not going to just kick people out of our community. They can't come to the barbecue because they say things we don't like. It's not a part of what being a family is. You know what I mean? We have family members who we disagree. You can't come to my house because I don't agree with your politics. And whoa, let's relax. There are Kanyes out there. We gotta act like there's no Kanyes out there. There are Kanyes out there. I mean, with the mental health scenario in play. You know what I mean? There are Kanyes out there. Some don't have mental health scenario, like Herschel Walker. Some may say he does, but they're out there. We can't act like we're going to just cut them off because they have a view that doesn't particularly fit or we agree with. And I'm not saying I agree with whatever any of these guys. When Kanye said back in the day when he said slavery was a choice, we talked about this on another platform.
Right. I mean, he says, but a lot of these things that he says, he just like with Trump, just like with a lot of people that play the internet game, they know how to play on words. You know, they know how to play on on clickbait. You know, they know how to play on these type of things. So they say certain things. It's those little things that they say that might pop up twice a year, 3 times a year. I'd probably say some things that could, you know, if I was in a position that would be like that, you know, but I'm not in that position. So to vilify, like you said, not invite somebody to the barbecue, just oust somebody because of a certain mindset, it's kind of ill to me. It's kind of ill, and I think that is even more ill because we do it over and over again to everybody, and you know we pick and we choose when it comes to these type of politics, so to speak. You know, and I think it's a bad light. I mean, this man definitely had said something. He said George Bush don't like black people. It was a problem. He did the MAGA thing. It was a problem. Hold on, let's see Tears. I'm gonna pull Tears up here.
Really, Tears?
Yo, Tears, what up? Peace, God.
Peace, young man. What's up, man? How you doing?
Peace, man.
Yo, what's your thoughts on not just Ye, but like how people treat him, just the whole thing right now, him getting dropped, you know, was it part of the plan? Like, what's your whole thought? I think he froze. He froze. He gonna come back. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important that because these things happen over and over again. You know what I'm saying? People gonna say some things and they get our attention, but we gotta look at. Let me see. He moving again. We gotta look at sometimes, you know, people's actions. You know, he's definitely not perfect. But what's your take on it, Tiz?
Oh, nah, I was saying like he unorthodox. You know what I'm saying? It's
he's having a hard time.
Stuff he say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you cut off, Tiz.
Yeah, Tiz joint is wilding.
Yeah.
Yo, Face, what up?
Yo, what up, man? I'm sorry, man. I'm on the road and shit.
Nah, you good, man. You good, man. We just chopping it up. You know how we do. It's always in the streets and on the go and in the airport and you know what I mean?
On the move.
It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, man. How you doing?
That's my pops, Poppy.
I was like, yeah, that was like Pops. I wasn't sure.
Peace, man. How you been? How you doing?
Good, OG, man. Good to meet you, man. Good to see you, man.
Oh, man. Heard the name. I heard the name. It's good to finally see you, man.
Yo, you got a great son, man. You did a good job over there, man.
Oh, man. I was just telling him to get some with my brand.
Good parenting, man. What's wrong with y'all? We talking about Kanye right
now. I want to get past this part first. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, you good.
And then we move on.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hear you. Nah, but for real, I was just telling him, we started the whole thing. I said, I just want to ask you a question. You know, what about, I was just praising him for the way he raised his two.
He just said that.
One's coming out of college and one is 2 years in. You know what I'm saying?
It's not easy. It's not easy. So, you know, you got to take your flowers, man.
I appreciate you. Salute to you. Salute to you, Face. You a hell of a dad too, bro, for years.
Yeah, trying, man. Doing what we can, man. That's all we can do.
It's all about staying in the game. It's not about winning and losing. It's all staying in the game.
Exactly.
Good way to say. That's a good way to put it. What's your take, Face? What you got with Kanye? Not just Kanye, not just what he said. Overall, like, do we need more support? Should we stop vilifying our people? Is he bugging? What's your thing?
I think Kanye is an interesting character, man. That's number one. Very interesting character. You know, I feel like he knows what he's doing, but he's learning as he goes. He doesn't have the research. Like, he's not doing the research. He's doing the research as he goes. So he's the kind of person that he'll be talking to like a brother like you, you know what I'm saying? And he'll hear something like, you know, the Jews did this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then tomorrow he would say it live in the interview without having the full information.
Right.
That's where he's causing like a lot of issues with what the stuff that he's saying and how he's delivering it. But he's making a lot of good points, but he's also saying some wild shit between it.
But nah, you're right though, because he does. I thought that a while ago, because he does drop, like, he'll drop some like hard Israelite bars, but then he'll drop some like hard Bible, like Christianity kind of thing, and then he'll come over here with like with the whole no religion type of thing. So it's always, I always get that kind of vibe from him too. That he kind of preemptively kind of jumps the gun type thing.
Yeah. He's a sponge, you know what I'm saying? He's a sponge. He hears certain things, he sucks it up. But the problem is he's squeezing the sponge out right away. He's not holding that information in.
Yeah, exactly.
And doing the research. He just hears it and then spills it all over. He just squeezes it out, and everybody like, yo, bro, like, you gotta relax. Like, because
that's a good way.
He said, like, the Drink Champs interview, he mentioned something about. He mentioned the George Floyd thing, right? Which, to be honest, I questioned the George Floyd thing myself too. You get what I'm saying? I was like, but it's just that he based off his information of what he watched on the documentary. And I don't think he even watched the documentary, because I watched it and half the things he said didn't even match with what
he didn't get. I don't think he got that from there personally. I didn't see all of it either, but Kanye. Like, that's good how you put that though, bro. Like, he's like a sponge.
Yeah, it's very good.
He just he squeezes it out way too early. He doesn't let it just
squeeze it too early.
Yeah, you don't let it
wash the dishes, and then you gotta always go. You gotta add more soap. Like, bro, get the little thing where you hold the soap and the the liquid in there, so you don't have to always use more soap.
And dispense it responsibly.
Yeah.
Well, but that's another thing. Like one of my things is, I know he got right. We all have rights and wrongs. To me, one of his things that I see that he lacks in from the outside in is people around him that keep him accountable. For a long time, he was married to their family, with that family, I should say, and that kind of made things a little cloudy. But he needs people that say stuff like that. Yo, bro, your voice is heavy. Watch what you say for a second. I know he was talking yesterday.
He don't want that. Trust me, he's had those people around him, and he probably ousted them out his life.
That's true.
I know people like that. I know people who they have their opinion, and then when you start giving your opinion after a while, they're like, yeah, I don't know if you could rock with me, because my opinion is the one that matters. And he's definitely at that point in his life where he believes his opinion matters. I mean, he said it with Sway. You ain't got the answers, Sway. He's on that energy.
Yo, they need a T-shirt or something that says, Sway got the answers. Because Sway was telling him this at that time. I should have the video. I was thinking about taking the video so I could pull that up, because that's what they was arguing about. If everybody can remember correctly, it was him saying he went to Louis, I went to Balenciaga, I went to this one, and they all did this and they all moved like that. And Sway was like, well, why don't you do it yourself, Kanye? And he was like, you don't got the answers, Sway. But Sway was right. Now you're doing it yourself. You know what I mean? Let's see what Tiz, what's your take on Ye, bro? Or just, us as a whole, self-destruction. Where your mic at? Unmute yourself. I don't know, Tiz is like in a basement somewhere.
Is he frozen again? Oh, there he is.
I thought he froze like that. I thought he froze. He was frozen in a mad cool position and shit.
Hold on, take your mic off. Take your mic off, bro.
But Tiz is mad cool.
I don't know how you do that. Yo, all right. That was Tiz.
One of the things that always drifted me about, because this is not a new situation. What we did is we drifted away from, like the brother was saying, the intellectual side of it. I remember in the 70s when Gil Noble used to invite people from different parts of the African diaspora to conference and talk about issues in our community. By the way,
time out, Pop. Not to cut you. Who's Gil Noble?
Yeah, see, I'm talking about back in the day now, in the 70s and what have you. Gil Noble was a TV guy. And you know how you have those Sunday morning political shows? Right. Gil Noble was the black version of that. But he only talked about our issues. I can get into it now, but this is not the form. But let me say this about that. When people come to us and talk to us about how we run our community, or you're black on black crime, if anybody ever say that, just ignore them. But you know how they always got problems with drugs. We're the only community in the history of this country that discusses their problems intellectually, in open forums, church groups, community centers, school auditoriums, The whole black exploitation movie thing was about how we would meet in the community, but how we going to deal with the drug dealers because the cops are not on our side. We
Yeah.
always came together to deal with our community. So never let them discuss with you how we don't do. Italians don't do it. Jews don't do it. Open forum. Gil Noble is my proof of that. So let me go on. He would have people from all parts of the black community in this diaspora here in America. And we would discuss the issues of the day. But we would do it in a way where we're not ripping people apart.
Yeah.
Today, with this counterculture to me is nothing but I'm not going to educate you into the plight of my people or my group or my situation, be you people of color, Native Americans, Latinos, whatever, or Jewish community. I'm not going, or the LBGT, I can't think of the name of it. Please forgive me or want to blast me. That community, they don't tell you, hey, listen, that's not the proper way to address the conversation about the LGBT community.
Yeah.
They say, you're this, you're that. Even our sisters do it. If you say, well, personally, I don't prefer a strong black woman in the definition that you're giving her. Oh, that's because you're a weak man. Why gotta be something? Because you wouldn't say that if I like redheads. You see what I'm saying? So let's not act like we're just doing this to Kanye. It's throughout the way we think as a community, and we need to come to grips with that.
That's
what we think and how we think about each other. Because we don't have to, I don't have to like your point of view.
That's key. How we think about each other and how we react to certain things. That's key. Let me see. Hold up. That's hold up.
That's my man right there.
Cuz unmute your mic, God. There you go. Yo, peace, God.
Peace, bro.
How you, man?
Peace.
Yeah, I'm in good.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, you know, another day. We out
hey,
here.
man, I see you already cutting into it early, man.
Yo, what's your?
I want to know what you got to say about Kanye. Not just like the moderator said.
Kanye was just
what he said.
Thing. What it represents. Just got an ill take on it.
Well, a couple different things come to mind before I can really cut into Kanye because he's a complicated person. The first thing that comes to my mind when I deal with a person like Kanye is I'm reminded about a book. I don't know if you guys have read it. I'm sure you probably heard of it. This guy named Robert Greene wrote this book called The Art of Seduction. It was one of the books that he wrote. Everybody was running around at one point in time with the Jedi mind tricks and everything based on reading this guy's book. So it was basically this kind of concept that outlaid all these characters and how these characters can be utilized in order to manipulate people and to basically get people to do certain things that you want to do. There's this one character that he describes in there who's always given to a certain type of outlandish behavior. So for him, he said you can cultivate this personality type. You always have these outlandish behaviors. You always kind of be excessive in the things that you're doing. And I always seem to be out of control. And what he says that happens is initially you might lose a few people, but what ends up happening is people begin to start to disregard your behavior as, oh, that's just how he is, right? And so you can get away with doing a bunch of stuff. This individual, what I'm calling an individual like a Kanye or a Donald Trump, gets into our hearts and becomes the type of person that is no longer responsible for his behavior, is no longer held accountable. So Kanye, for many years, can do the most outlandish behavior and do all types of other stuff, and we don't hold him accountable because that's just crazy Kanye. Even if he's very intelligent inside what he's doing. So that's one of the first things that I got to distinguish when I'm starting to look at this Kanye as an individual. Then when I start looking at and charting his behavior and his ideas, his thought pattern throughout the years, I realized that here's an individual who has a very Eurocentric way in which he defined himself in relationship to the world. Every person that he mentions that's of a genius and so forth like that, these are all Eurocentric people. And I've never seen him mention any of the, traditional, when you start talking about black consciousness, the Sheikh Auntie Diaz, the Chancellor Williams, and so he never mentions any of these guys. It's always, maybe a despot or some other European people and so forth like that. He's always sought the affirmations of that particular community. And it's only when he hasn't been able to get that, when they push him back out, they show him that, hey, listen, you might be a part of the bourgeois, but you're not actually one of us, that he starts to act up and he starts to, go fall back on this claim of, kind of being some type of rebel for black thought or black consciousness and so forth like that. So for me, it's very difficult for me to kind of get into this space where I want to lend him or become a super great support of him, because I realize that if we all 30 million of us got together and we gave that man our support, he would then take that same support that he got from us and put it right back in the hands of the people that he's seeking affirmation from. You know what I'm saying? There's not necessarily any genius with that. I've seen it before. So, that's kind of where I'm at when I'm dealing with a person like Kanye. I think he needs to take a step back, in his own life. I mean, I give him whatever credit is due for an individual who has accomplished what he's accomplished. But to speak on him in terms of what the black community might be responsible for or owe him, I don't really see that, because I don't really see an individual who has a black consciousness. In fact, that other community who understands what it means to protect their identity and their reputation and so forth has punished him. And yet, again, because he's always doing something crazy and we don't never take him, hold him accountable, he has said some of the most atrocious things he could ever say about our community, namely saying that slavery was a choice, as if many of us don't know our history and don't know how many people died in the transatlantic slave trade, fighting it, going to war, all of the deaths that happened during cattle slavery, the fact that, countries like Haiti right now are still being punished for all this type of stuff, as if all those sacrifices didn't matter. And somehow we signed this contract that you and I are not familiar with, and we actually made a choice to be in that condition. And then he turns around and says that some other white woman don't give him a choice about being a parent. See what I'm saying? So there's all these different kind of contradictions that's taking place over there that really, to me, makes it mute. I think that he wasn't held accountable. People are holding him accountable now in that community. That's the one that he wanted to be a part of, and he might have to hold that down.
Yeah, I mean,
there was a report 2 days ago or yesterday, something like that, that Forbes said that they really don't consider him a billionaire anymore, because he lost this $2 billion deal with Adidas. His status dropped so low because of all of those companies bailing on him, just like you said, Neff, that he's now not in a billionaire status.
But that's not even, but that's smoke and mirrors too, though, because to me, I raised the red flag of, okay, so now as soon as somebody says something, like you was talking earlier, Pop, about freedom of speech, now you say something, you snatch your contracts, now start digging, start looking. He wanted out of his contracts anyway. He's been saying he wanted out of his contracts.
He wanted out of the contract.
So one, he could have leaped out the window to do this, right? He could have leaped out the window, one, to do this, and two, they cutting their own nose to spite their face, because he makes them, like, I think it's like $433 million a year. So they don't want to part with that coin, but they're gonna part with it. And he still leaves with intellectual property.
Well, that's what his asset is the intellectual property, and they got to figure out whether or not there's any value in it after he starts to damage his own reputation. Because intellectually, you don't control infrastructure. You don't have no factories or no distribution or nothing like that.
But did we support Ye, or did we support Adidas when he got that $100 million?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a choice. We're
the infrastructure, so we fall now.
I think what we should do is take a completely different look at it and not say, do we support this group or that group? I think what we should do is just back up and say, hey, this is the situation. How could we advise Ye? Well, he listens or not, it's not the point. As a community, to say, yeah, don't squeeze the sponge so hard, so quick. You have the platform. You're going to have the opportunity to say what you want to say. But maybe you're not the right person to say it. Maybe your gift was lyricist. You're a fantastic lyricist.
Right.
Maybe that's your gift. Maybe your gift is not what you want it to be. Relax. Take your time. Maybe we need to take that approach, because
that's good advice. That would be good advice. But it's funny because that, I think, is golden advice. What would your advice be? Because, like, personally speaking to Ye right now, what would you have to, like? What would you tell him as advice?
Well, I mean, I think the captain got to go down with the ship, man. If that's the character you want to play and that's who you want to be, you know what I mean? Then,
Just gonna come right to it. He ain't gonna go around the tree.
No, because here's
I'm
a
with
person
you, bro.
who loves.
I'm with you, nephew. I got your back. I got you.
He loves attention. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be in that spot. You can't tell. This is the type of animal that he is. So he wants to be in that spotlight. He wants to have attention. He wants all eyes on him. He wants to be known as the great genius. Nobody has ever done anything greater than him. And so you can't really change that fundamental part of him. But the thing is this here: if you want freedom of speech, like I'm all for freedom of speech, but I also recognize that if you say whatever you feel like you want to say, then you have to govern the consequences of what you say. You can't have it both ways. You got, and all of us in our own way, right? We all powerful. We all feel a certain way about ourselves. How many times would you allow somebody with the freedom of speech to come in your face and say all types of crap to you? It's not going to happen that long. It's going to be a limit to that. So therefore,
we were talking about that. That was never the intent of freedom of speech. I was telling before you got on. I was telling I had a Truman sweatshirt. TRUMAN. There was a school I was a principal of, and a sister came walking up to me like angry, like I owed her money. And when she got close enough, she said, "Oh, I was about to put you on blast because I thought it said Trump, TRU." You know what I mean? She was like, but that's not freedom of speech. But my friend he cleared it up for me. He said the reason that you have the Second Amendment is because freedom of speech is the first one.
Right to bear arms. People got the right to say what they want to say. That's
right.
But you got the right to shut them down.
Right.
That's the consequences you were talking about.
I think it's good. I mean, I think he's doing good. He's still got a couple hundred million. He shouldn't starve for the rest of his life. You know what I mean?
They say he was a billionaire. He said he was a billionaire. And then just like that, I think that's the biggest, to me, that's like the biggest part of the story is that at a snap of a finger, if he got stock options, and let's just think about this, y'all. If he got stock options in Adidas, and now they drop him, so they say they pull his stock options. I've been around a few blocks. You can't pull my stock. You gotta buy my stock options. So if you buy options,
but what we probably missing is that this probably was on a regulated process where after a certain period of time you get so many of them or whatever. We don't know what the structure of the deal. Obviously, if whatever the deal was, it wasn't in his hand. You see what I'm saying? So that probably would have been, to me, I wouldn't have been the type of person, if it's not in my hand, I'm not going to run around telling people I'm a billionaire and it's not in my hand. I don't have the cake. It's not in my hand. That's kind of a little, that's the part of the thing that he wanted to do. I think it was all intellectual, it was probably fictitious. You know what I'm saying? And when they pulled their deal back, he don't have the ability to claim that. And that's just how it is.
That's the whole thing, that they're not really what they say they are. It's based on what they have. It's based on their liquid. It's not really cash, you know what I'm saying? Like Jay-Z's probably not a billionaire if he ends up getting rid of a Rock Nation and these other, he's not going to be a billionaire anymore. So it's like, but I think what happened with Kanye, people are just giving him too much. It's just too much, bro. Like the other day, he said something on Instagram about how if he was to say black nigga, black, and some shit like that, they wouldn't care about that. And I agreed with that. I was like, yeah, if he was when we say black and bitch and all that, they don't care about any of that. But when he says something anti-Semitic, as they call it, he gets shut down. So my thing is, my friend was like, oh, so now you agree with him? I was like, well, I had the sense where I could agree with some shit and I could not agree with some shit with the same person.
Right.
But it seems like people feel like you have to agree with everything Kanye says in order to you know what I'm saying? Like, I think what happens, people get confused and start to think that they are smart because they think like Kanye.
But the same way, like you said, Kanye did when he gets a bit of information from somebody else and just runs with it without doing the knowledge on it.
Yo, let me tell you something before you think of. You remember the Pavlov joint where they said that they conditioned the dogs to where, just if they just rang the bell, the dogs thought they was gonna get a meal. There's so much of that conditioning that's happening inside of us, right? Where if a dude walk into a spot and he got big herky chains, all of a sudden that person's value and his status and the power of what he might say is all automatically equated to the chain or what vehicle we got and so forth like that. So what happened, part of this with the situation is the only reason why we having some of this conversation is because the guy has had the ability to be able to lay claim to a certain amount of cake. Because if you go up to that's my word. I used to work in the mentally ill chemical abuser program up in uptown Manhattan. If you went up there and you spoke with some of those people, there's got some people up over there that's so intellectual.
Yo, you said what? You said chemically ill?
A mentally ill chemical abuser.
What's a chemical? What's a chemical abuser?
Chemical. They mentally ill and they also have an addiction, a drug addiction. They abuse chemicals.
Oh, okay, I got you.
They call MICA. They call it MICA. When you speak to some of these individuals, many of them have fallen from all different types of places, and they got that same kind of, half here, half not there intelligence about various. It's the same thing. You see the same thing going on. There's a disconnect at some point in time. This person is disillusioned, and so I used to speak to them at point in time, and they used to make so much sense of so much things, and then it's just like the last part of the sentence would be like, they go all the way over here, and I'm like, damn, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that don't make any sense. You can see that same thing being displayed in a lot of different people, but because this guy can qualify his statements with saying that, hey, you know what, I do have this deal with Adidas, I do have this and so forth like that, all of a sudden it's like, well, we got to look at something cryptic inside of what he's saying as being super, super intelligent and attribute it to a great deal of value. You know
so you're saying that's the big chain in the room. He walked in with the big chain by being able to say he got the
a lot of times we give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, nobody wants to hear what, and I hate to call these guys names out, but I think it's, just for the sake of understanding, some people don't want to hear necessarily what like a Dame has to say because he hasn't made the big deal since that last different situation. But this guy's very intelligent. But yet, if he make a statement relative to somebody else made a statement that has more money, it's like, shut up, nigga, because you ain't making as much money as he do. And I see it happen all the time. Any one of us, if somebody walk in, no matter how intelligent we are, if they walk in and they got big money, automatically, or got some type of a symbol of status, automatically we give more credit to what that person says. And it doesn't matter what their politics, it doesn't matter what their mental state is, it doesn't matter how irregular they are with their behavior, or whether or not there might be, alternative motives that's motivating these individuals to do whatever they're doing. And I think that's the same thing that's happening with this guy right here. Like everything he says is genius. It's genius this, it's genius that. And with so many people that got a lot of intellectual talent and they're not displaying the same kind of erratic behavior that this guy's displaying. So that to me doesn't make him a leader just simply because he has some success in business.
But part and parcel of the branding of America is exactly what you just said. And that's a Western concept of civilization. You are judged by what you own.
That's right. That's right.
That's how you're judged. You're not judged by the intrinsic, like most of the world. I'm talking about South American, Aboriginal South Americans, Africans, Indians. Most of them value the intrinsic, the spirituality of a human. But in the Western cultures, it's what you have. So you're right. They display that. And that's what we're taught to value that. You see a guy come by in a Mercedes Benz, wow. You see a guy come by in a Porsche, wow. Lambo, oh my goodness.
But whatever he got to come out with some muscles, or he just came home. It's not the same value.
Right.
It's not the same. It was in place the same way.
Right. So we got to, sometimes I always have to check my mind when it comes down to that first, because that's going to color how much weight I give to a certain situation. And I get caught with it myself, I think we all get caught with it ourselves, but that's a part of understanding where your blind spots are mentally, and people will play inside those spaces all day long. Especially since we're almost talking in here, allegiance, right? Do we support this guy inside of what he's doing? And we haven't even qualified what he's talking about. Like one of the people he always referring to is the Candace Owens lady. And when you go and look at, like, she did the documentary on
Black Lives Matter joint.
The George Floyd.
In the George
joint,
Floyd joint. Man, it was crazy to me that her conclusion after trying to figure out, all of these personal characteristic flaws that this guy might have had, that somehow that preclude this dude from being able to ask the question of whether or not the way that they arrested him, the way that they treated him in that particular moment was justified or not. Like none of his parents in whether or not he got his kids with him or how many of them is really his kids. None of that had nothing to do with the fact that they had their knee on this guy's neck for 9 minutes. None of that had nothing to do with it. And then if we're saying that for this particular community, fentanyl use is a medical condition, then when you arrest anybody with a medical condition, doesn't that play a role in how you arrest them? If that person was on a ventilator, you wouldn't put your knee on their neck.
So look,
right?
he was on fentanyl. That was the thing.
Well, like, that's her thing. That's her thing. Her thing is
that's where that came from with Kanye with the whole fentanyl thing.
Everything
that's
comes
what
from
I'm
Candace
saying. He don't know. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just
so she claims that because he had an addiction with fentanyl, that the police didn't really kill him, and we making a martyr out of him, and he's not really worthy of a martyr. It's like the brown paper bag to me. Now all of a sudden there's some type of litmus test that a person has to pass in terms of my past character that determines whether or not I deserve justice, or I can even ask the question of whether or not I'm getting justice in this particular moment with the police treatment. They don't know nothing about the fentanyl. If you say he can't breathe, he can't breathe. If I had a ventilator right there, you wouldn't put your knee on my neck.
That's a fact. If I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Like, it don't matter what I'm on, I can't breathe.
Yeah, she asking his parents, like, yo, what about his kids? Was he a good father? What the fuck? I don't have nothing to do with this 8 minutes that you got on his neck.
Yeah, that's a whole...
And that's the person that he referenced every time we talk about. He referenced Candace Owens said and so forth like that. So, trying to evaluate what he's doing in terms of leadership and stuff like that. He's not on the ground. He's not on the ground.
It's no type of leadership. I think we put the wrong people in place as leadership. At one point, we was listening to LeBron James about political stuff, and we listening to this one. Then we got leaders in place. We shoot them down. I still don't know why Umar Johnson don't got that school up yet. Like that's still crazy to me, man. Like all this money running around. But another thing, we talk about. I think Face mentioned the Semitic thing earlier. We know where the Semitic people come from, right? We are the Semitic people, right? Every day there's genocide in hip hop, there's genocide in music, there's genocide in conversations. People get jumping people's statuses and in their comments and throw all type of hate, this and that and the third. And none of that gets banned. That's anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Wow, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the part that counts. Once you start silencing people, I don't care what they say. Like it don't really bother me. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just text me that's in the joint said, they don't give a fuck either way. And I get it, but
but we should.
We should did an amazing job, man. They did an amazing job with creating this narrative that if you say anything against them, it is anti-Semitic. You get what I'm saying? So, and there was actually a lady who mentioned this, and she's Jewish, and she said it's an American thing. It's not like around the world they're all doing this. It's an American-based thing where most of the Jews from America, this is what they created, the anti-Semitic narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Pop was telling me earlier, I'm gonna leave the names out or whatever, but he was saying that he knew somebody that actually was doing a reading of some sort from one of their texts and read something crazy from the text verbatim, and then they called it.
They're showing you the text. They're showing you the text on your screen, and the guy is just mouthing the words as you read it. And they said he had to apologize. And he said, but you're not apologizing for it being in your holy book. So why am I apologizing for showing you a video of this guy reading on your holy book? Mind you,
that's what it was? That's exactly so you're referencing what he was talking about just now?
Yeah.
No, this is my friend here in New Haven, about 35 years ago, showed this video about the real, they talk about the real Jew, blah, 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 whatever. And the guy who was giving this narrative was reading from the Talmud and their other holy books. And when he read from them, you no longer saw his face. You saw the page in the book. So you're reading along with him. And it was describing things like, it's not acceptable for Jews to lend money to other Jews with interest, but you can lend it to non-Jews with interest. He was reading things like that. There was some other stuff that I'm not going to say on here, but that
it's kind of your face is crazy. It's some sexual stuff that's crazy.
Sexual stuff you would not understand it. The whole Jewish community here in New Haven they had marches trying to get my friend to take back what he said. He said, I didn't say it. Nor are you saying that what the man said in the video was false. They never said what the man said in the video was false. They just don't want you. They've always created a hidden agenda throughout the 1,000-year history. They've always done it. That's why they control the diamond mines in South Africa. You can go. They're the ones who helped finance, and mind you, this is history. Helped finance the slave trade. The Dutch Jews were involved with financing the slave trade. They've always had a hidden culture. So for us to go to, and why was it hidden? So that they can work anonymously. When you bring them to light in any way, you offend them, whether it's true or not, because we want to stay hidden. Hey, look, and I'm not saying that's a wrong thing. I'm just saying that we have to understand it for what it is.
Wait, hold up,
that's always how imperialism works. You can't look the emperor in his face. You got to bow down and put your head down. That's how it works. If you say today's environment, if you say anything about the letter group, you're gonna have to retract that too, right? Because they are practicing the form of imperialism. Some years ago, if you said anything about certain politicians and you was labeled with being a communist, that can get a lot of trouble coming your way and so forth like that.
The McCarthy movement, exactly.
So whenever you see somebody that's kind of exercising that type of they doing stuff like that, that's a part of the imperialism. It's a way that power infrastructure is to make sure it secures itself, to make sure there's nobody that could ever say anything about it. Every group does it.
How do we get that?
Huh?
How do we get that?
We don't, bro.
We
can get it, but you know why we can't get it? Because we will not invite you to the barbecue if I disagree with your opinion. That's why we don't. All those Jews that get together, you think they all agree? Do you think an organized crime, the 5 families in New York that govern the entire country, you think they all agree? But they all came to the table.
Go to Chicago and say something about those groups on their block right over there, and you'll see imperialism. Practice it. It's imperialism. You can't say nothing about me on so and so block. Everybody they do it. It's just that it's not on a scale that's going to impact other cultures or other people or so forth like that. But it's a form of for us. It's like a form of ignorance. They don't have no real power politically with other communities, but they do it. As soon as somebody say something about another person, they send somebody over there to shoot them or do some other crap.
You can't. We're more American than we want to admit. We are more American than we want to admit. We are, everything about us is American. My father used to tell me there's more than 1 and 36 on a yardstick. But every conversation that you have with somebody, if you say yes, they say no. There is no 24 on a yardstick. There is no middle ground. Everything is polarized. If you go for abortion, you're a baby killer. What about the women who was raped by their uncles in Appalachia? What about the women who were raped in a parking lot, traumatized? She got to raise this baby and feed this baby for 20-something years and send it to college?
So we have abortion right now.
Why? Because there's no 24 on the yardstick. There's no 18. There's no 12. You're for it or you're against it. No, that's a Western concept of dealing with something. And if you remember in that movie, the last Jedi movie, where Darth Vader was becoming Darth Vader while he was still non-Darth Vader, he said, "You're either for me or against me." And he said, "Only a Sith thinks in absolute." They got us trained to think in absolutes. We have to understand. Embrace what you don't understand. Don't label it and call it a name. Embrace it. Learn from it. That's what's going to help our community come together. You don't have to agree with it, but you cannot ignore it. You can't cancel it. You can't cancel it. You slaughter the people whose opinion it is. Why do you have to be a degenerate because you don't think like me? Why do you have to be a low-down retrobate because you don't agree with me? You're a valuable human being.
Give Tiz another shot here. I see he's still frozen though. There you go. Yo, Tiz, what up, man?
I'm here. I'm back.
What's your take on Ye, man? How Ye being handled, man? How you being mishandled?
Ye's just Ye, man. Ye gonna say what he want to say.
Exactly.
You gonna like it or you gonna love it. Like he gonna say it.
We just talking about that.
Ye came in with, come on, from Taylor Swift. He jumped on stage from Taylor Swift, like, yo, Beyonce song went, like, he don't care what you think. Like, he gonna say what he gotta say. But, and actually right now, too, I didn't even really think about it. He might be having, like, a little mental breakdown with he having going through his wifey thing and all that. You know, you're not thinking about that aspect. But he's just going crazy about everybody. Fuck everybody. But he got a lot of truth in what he's saying, too, though.
He do, but like Faith say, though, man, he spits out the truth.
But it's not.
That's the problem. He's, that's like that dude that I follow, the preacher. What's the preacher name back in the days? I like this dude. Reverend Ike. Reverend Ike?
Crazy, right, the crazy dude.
From Queens.
But I like
he wasn't crazy. Was he crazy?
Reverend Ike be spitting some gems, bro.
Little bit about the wrong dude. He be yelling and cursing on the joint, right?
Reverend Ike be spitting some gems, but he also was supposedly known for like stealing from the church and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean that what he said wasn't right.
Anybody in the church is taking from the church, man. Ain't nobody in top of the line in the church ain't pocketing, man.
Yeah, that's part of the game, right?
That's the rules.
I mean, you say that's the rules. That's crazy. You see. I'm not really trying to switch it, but you see.
But that don't take away from the information that he's spitting. But that don't take away from the information that he's spitting. If he's saying he's spitting some weird shit, you know what I'm saying? Don't ever shoot the message or look at the message. Your message can come from anybody.
Yeah,
your message can come from a little kid. Your message can come from a bum on the street.
That's why we're saying you can't tell him he can't. That's why you can't tell him he can't come to the barbecue because you may disagree with what he's saying. So what?
Yeah.
He's going to say tomorrow.
You don't need yes men around. You need
going to say something.
You need different opinions and different aspects anyway. And we all seeing things from different islands anyway.
When I was younger, the Israelites, right? My boys, like, they all surrounded me. Like, yo, you gotta be an Israelite, bro. You gotta do it. You remember the whole hood was Israelite back in the day. So they all surrounded me like, you gotta be an Israelite. And then it was like, yo, in order for you to become an Israelite, though, you gotta stop hanging with these guys. So now I was hanging out with some coolies. You know what I'm saying? Guyanese dudes. He's like, nah. They East Indians. They're not who we are. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah, bro, I can't do that. I respect what y'all saying, and I do believe in a lot of stuff y'all saying, but I'm not cutting my mans off because of what y'all saying. But there are people who would do that.
Yeah.
And when you think like that, when you're willing to not actually use your brain, and Kanye could say anything and they'd be like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, bro, he's not making sense right here. He's making sense what he said over there about this subject, but this right here, he sound crazy, bro. You got to be able to decipher that.
Right.
Because if not,
because he definitely makes business sense. Like when he talks about business and media and things like that, I definitely get it. Once he starts going on with slave this, and he's quoting the Bible over here, then over here he's in the Quran, and then over here he's doing this, and I'm not doing that, yeah. Media and that type of thing is your space. Apparently, like Cuz said, you got the biggest chain in the room, and it was for whatever that is.
Right.
I can salute that for whatever that is. Or one, you got that chain because you a gold miner. That's what you got from digging gold. I can super salute that chain because you built that. That's what I can say he did. Yo, he revolutionized them. I forgot what they call them slides, the way they make them now. That's his. That's his intellectual property. The Yeezy 350s, he was on contract till 2026 with one company. He was on contract with the Gap till 2030. He wanted out of all of these contracts. He got out of them 6 weeks after he stated that he wanted out of them contracts. Somehow it's starting to sound a little, you know what I'm saying?
He's doing this. You know what's funny too? They just showed a video with him and Nick Cannon, like walking around, hanging out. And I was like, yo, that's interesting that he was with Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon low-key did the same thing. When he did that, when he said the anti-Semitic thing when he was in his interview, and then he got kicked off that show.
What's anti-Semitic? Everybody keeps saying anti-Semitic.
That's what they say. But he said something against the Jews, I believe, in some interview, or I think, or the person he interviewed said something against. I don't remember what happened.
But anti-Semitic is anything that they don't like, pretty much. Like Pop said, he read the book.
It's not anti-Semitic. He's using the wrong word. They coined that term, so now that's like a big term, but that's the wrong terminology of the word.
But like Face said, though, like Face, you know what I'm saying? Around the world, nobody else.
Semitic people.
Exactly. So they coined it, so now they get everybody thinking that no, that's them and that's us. That and oh yeah, he is talking about them. No, he's not. What to see?
Comedian, that's a lot of
miseducated people too. You know what I'm saying?
Like
that don't know what.
You talk too strong, you're gonna be toxic. That's toxic masculinity right there. Like, you know, they all look crazy. They do that all the time. I had a problem with my wife the other day, man, because I wanted to wear some colors. I'm like, man, I ain't giving these people the rainbow, man. I ain't agree to that. So yeah, you're right. People go out.
Why? Because you couldn't. Yeah. She said, "Don't wear something because it's the rainbow. It represents."
I had something on that had multiple colors in it and everything. I was really feeling like real Caribbean like.
Real vibrant. Real vibrant.
You can't even wear your cross colors no more. Can't even wear cross
you can't wear all that. I said, look, man, I didn't agree to get these guys the rainbow, man. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't care about all that. I'm gonna wear my joint, man. If you miss it,
but everything is branding.
Everything
is about branding.
They put a coin on it, then you gotta abide by it. You hear them even talk about
Kevin Hart said, I branded my name. LeBron James, I branded my. We all buy into this thing because we all want the same thing out of it. We all want to have
Bobby, everything is about brand. Nike's a brand. Louis Vuitton is a brand. Everything is about a brand.
America is a brand.
I'm not even mad about them branding their name if they could get something off. Because this class has been doing it. Gucci, everything we trying to buy all these top European name brands. Let's get some black brands names that we can probably buy.
But America is a brand. They branded America in 1913. America became a brand. And my father, when they got here, my father used to talk about they were looking to see whether they were gold. Because they said the streets are paved with gold. He was looking at it, he said, he ain't find no gold. But that was a brand. They branded America.
Let me ask y'all a question, though, because I just looked up, because I was going to let the people know what the Semitic places are. But when you look it up, you can't really find them. I'm sitting here digging. It's saying North Africa, the Horn of Africa, Malta, Afro-Asiatic is saying, right? But then it doesn't really say, this says West Asia. Can y'all explain to me where West Asia is? Ain't West Asia like
West Asia is Afghanistan.
Oh, okay. That's we start bordering
part of Asia.
The European border, right? In the mountains.
Afghanistan, Bangladesh.
Turkey.
That's those countries that are there now. Pakistan. That's Western.
Iraq,
Asia.
all that.
Iraq.
But see,
some people even say Syria.
The Jews are not. That's not a race.
That's what I'm saying. That's another thing.
It's a religion.
If that's the case, then white people not a race. When you say white people matters,
that's not a race either.
But there's no
Who are
such
you
thing
talking
as
about?
race.
I mean, yeah, right. I'm gonna say there's no such thing as race. This because where you
It's
from,
one race. The
it's
human
It's a
race.
brand.
The
They
human
branded
race.
it. A guy named Carl von Linnaeus. Well, look it up sometime.
It's three of them.
Carl
Yeah, it's three of them.
von Linnaeus.
Yeah. Put it. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the one who categorized people. Mind you, no professional
Brown,
expertise,
yellow.
no
We
degree
started
into
giving it.
this,
Yeah.
nothing. He just sat down with a pencil and paper and said, I'm going to categorize the people in the world. Afrikaners, Europeaners, Chinakaners, whatever. That's what he was doing. And he labeled them. Asian people are slick and Africans are lazy and all promiscuous and European are sanguine and are governed by law. And he just sat, and from that day on, that's why when people start talking about race relations, I make sure they get straight off the top. There's a human race. You're talking about nationalities? Before Carver Linnaeus did this in 1750, 1760. That's when he did it. Before that, watch old what's that guy's name? Robin Hood movies. His main partner was who? A Moor. That's what they called people of color back then. You were a Moor. You were a Frank. You was a Saxon. You was a Spaniard. You were called by your nationality. That wasn't race. So we have to make sure that people understand we know what we're doing with race. One race, humanity. Many nationalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a word right there.
Yeah.
Carl von Linnaeus. Really, look it up because
I just looked it up. I'm about to tell.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I know. I remember that name.
Yeah, he said he did the classification system even for animals and everything right here. But sounds like a French name too, Linnaeus. It looks like it's spelled pretty French. But yeah, I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. I'm glad y'all all tapped in, man. I wanna hold on. Let me pull Ace in real quick too. Yo, what up, Ace?
Ace, what up, brother?
What up, bro? Ace, yeah.
Yo, Ace, what up?
Ace, man. Yo, bro.
Yeah.
You got some feedback on your joint, bro. There you go. Now I think you muted yourself. My bad. You got to unmute. You muted, Ace.
Can you hear us, Ace? Yes, no.
Oh, he said, wait up. Oh,
Setting up his, you on the phone? Yeah, man, but I don't know, bro. I think we give Kanye
everything is a brand.
But I guess right now he's the mouthpiece. He's the
He
mouthpiece.
ain't no. He's Kanye. All of a sudden, we got him as a figure, like a black leader.
How much did that big
Kanye, the gene, the musical genius that's making clothes now?
How much does that big chain weigh though? Like Just said, when somebody come in the room with the big chain, we automatically be like, yo, that dude is that dude, right?
Yeah.
Right. Kanye, we know he's not the dude that just came into the pins. Everybody want to test him for his chain. We know he earned this chain. We know where he got the chain from. So we can't say we support him. We buy his joint. We do all this and we do all that. But now it's like, who Kanye? Nah, we don't need Kanye. Damn Kanye. I feel more like what Cuz is saying, like, as far as he was violent and now he got to go down with the shit. I don't want to see him go down. I support him. You know what I'm saying? Not because of what he say, but just mainly because of who he is. Not because of the chain, not because of what he did, but just because he looked like us. You know what I'm saying?
But let me ask you a question, Sonny, because this is a question I have. Do you believe he's doing it for his people? Or is he doing it for his own, like for himself?
I think personally, I think he's doing it for himself. I think he has his people in mind somehow. I don't think he's just like, I'm going to do all this and go mess with an island full of white people. You understand? I think his motive, but listen, my motive is different from just motives. My motives is different from face motives, right? But if all of our motives is to get to the top, I'm going to see all y'all at the top. Ace, Poppy, Tiz, Face, Popeye, everybody I'm gonna see at the top because we all gonna do what we gotta do to get to the top. I ain't mad at y'all for getting to the top. That's how I look at it. Like, do what you gotta do to get to the top. I couldn't say or do some of the stuff that he said or do, but like Poppy said, just because I don't agree with it and I couldn't do it, listen, bro, you gonna go swim with them sharks, you go right ahead. Show me how it's done, because I can't do it.
You know, that assumes that all these worldviews is equal. That assumes everybody's worldview is valid, and that everybody is going to when we sit that the top is the same. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably part of the danger.
What you mean?
Well, because when you listen to his thought process and you try to understand, you know, where his value system is at and how he's constructing himself in relationship to the world, every reference that he ever makes is all from a Eurocentric person. He never referenced any thought, any ideology that is from a traditional perspective of black thought, right? Which speaks volumes. It speaks a lot because at the end of the day, a person's behavior is always going to be held within the bounds of whatever his value system, what his belief system is. So he's all for creating and doing those things that reinforce the same system that, you know, when you're not privileged to be able to have got some money that he make. That means that this is what is going to create all them crime generative factors that going to make sure you're going to be a permanent underclass, right? He probably wouldn't even have a problem with the permanent underclass. He probably would create a justification as to why you actually are in that permanent underclass, and then point to himself and say, "See, this is the genius of me that makes it so that I'm not one of you." You got to be very careful with that. You know, there's a lot of people, most of us that study, you know, what we call like Afrocentric consciousness and so forth like that. There's thought processes that we refer to because it embodies not only the way that we begin to define ourselves in relationship to the world, but there's a spirit, there's an ethics, there's something that's communicated inside of that says that this is how I'm going to unite myself and this is what I'm going to be held accountable for. What kind of values? For instance, if you go into the Eurocentric worldview, an individual inside that worldview, if we're doing business with each other, I can say that me and you are partners, we're friends, we're tight and close. And if I see that my business interests tell me that I can double my profit by stabbing you in the back, that's perfectly legit inside that arena in that world. But for us, the way that we come from is like, hey, why would you stab your own friend in the back for a couple extra dollars? If that's what we subscribe to. So if you took this person into your bosom and you have camaraderie with them and I'm supporting them, and then he turn around and be that one that stabs you in the back, that's because at the end of the day, you come from two different branches, you come from two different philosophies, and that individual was never like you. He might have imitated and did certain things, and that's the danger with a person like, to me, a danger with a person like a Kanye that will go and take. I mean, I got your grandmother in particular as one who, you know, would travel from New York to the South with, well, not your grandmother, great grandmother, would travel from New York to the South with a bunch of our eldest, but her grandkids, and if she stopped into a store and those people wanted her to come in through the back door, they wouldn't put her money in her hand. She walking up out of there, right? She walking up out of there. She never would have supported that particular.
To this day, my mother will send us you go on a flight. I don't care where you going. She gonna make a sandwich, and it wasn't until recently when she said that experience affected her, and that's why she always sends us with sandwiches no matter where we go. Because she was used to going to the South back in the days, and they wasn't stepping foot in those stores that wasn't moving right. She always say that.
Right. So you would never.
Yo, what up?
Sonny.
What up?
Yo, Sonny. What? You not getting no feedback, man?
Nah, you good.
Nah, you good now.
What's your take on this, man? Oh, you now?
Yeah.
I hear it sound like you're a sound man, son. I hear the echo. The echo in the back, but it's all right though. Go ahead. You don't sound. It's not too bad.
Yeah, don't know me a selector.
There we go. Yo, what's your take, selector? Yo, who is that? That's Ace with the feedback.
Actually, it's everybody.
Everybody, man.
No, you're hearing us delayed, and we're hearing you. So it's
It's probably his
not,
speaker that's bouncing the back.
echo,
You might want to turn the speaker down a little bit, or even put a headset on.
But let me take the headset off and see what happens.
It's the echo. Your echo cancellation is not activated.
All right. Let me see something. Let me turn on the volume or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Ace, Ace TV, man. If y'all ain't tapped in,
Shout out to Ace TV.
Ace be dealing with a lot of mental health. I have referenced you earlier about the mental health thing, bro. And you know, I don't know how much of this plays into the mental health with Kanye. I don't know. They said they had him on a 72-hour hold that time. And on those 72-hour holds, they said they be doing all type of electroshock therapy, this, that, and the third, and all type of experimental stuff. So I don't know how much of this is post-traumatic, how much of this is stress. I don't know how much of this. I know Just ain't buying none of that. Just said he the captain and he got to go.
No, I mean, the man died and he never took a break from that point. His mom's died. He never took a break. Just kept going. There's something there, bro. There's something there. Like you can see it in his face. He's not all the way there right now. He's missing some screws, but he's making some points.
You gonna say, Pop?
I can't hear you. Ace, you talking?
Now Ace is
I can't hear you.
Ace is the StreamYard king, and he got them feedback, and now we can't hear
you now, Ace.
He might be on the phone. But yeah, man.
That's what it is. But you know what I was saying, just is, you know, you're correct in your analysis of him and the threat that he poses to our community. But this is what I say. If one person can have that kind of an impact on our community was just shattered from Jump Street. That's one. Two, when we get to the top of the hill, he's going to be up here too. Candace Owens is going to be up there. They're going to still be up there. It's not like they're going to go away because we canceled them out of the movement. I don't agree with much they have to do because of what you said. There's no sense of spirituality. There's no sense of usism. There's no sense of connectiveness to the culture of people of color for them. And like I said, we don't realize how much of an American we all are. It's very visible in them. Herschel Walker, it's very visible in them. But that's not to say it's not visible in the rest of us. And to the extent that it is. Kanye's got some issues. When he said this, I'm not sure they're controversial issues. I was talking to a bunch of people one time, and I said there was some good things, not good things, there was some positive things that came out of slavery for people of color. Shut the whole room down. People didn't want to hear what I had to say behind that. And I said, just think about it. You take the original man, and for 250 years, you interbred him with the original woman. Just like you did your dogs, your horses, and everything. You wanted the best of the best of the best to be married to the best of the best of the best. That's where the whole thing, Mandingo thing, came out. Do that for 250 years. You're surprised that we dominate everything we touch? Is it really that much of a shock? You bred the best of the best to the best of the best for nigh on 300 years. What did you expect other than us? Everything we touch.
I never really look at it.
You know what I'm saying? So I said that people shut me off. I no longer get texts from them on holidays. They couldn't understand it because I said it was something that came out positive for people of color. I'm saying I'm not going to go to the picnic. I can't come to the cookout now. I can't. You know, we have to be able to accept all of these points of view because I want us all to get to the top. I want us all to get there. Even the people who was when they freed slaves. Do you think every slave said, "Come on, let's go"? Or do you think a lot of them said, "We stay right here because there ain't no place to go"? We rather go into sharecropping than to get out there because there's no place for us to go. There's always going to be people like that. We have to have a social, political, spiritual consciousness to be able to incorporate all of them because we can't leave them behind.
That's deep.
Yeah, I'll leave them behind. I throw them right off the ship.
That's why we need you. That's why we need you.
The funny thing is, like, I hit Pop for some wisdom kind of stuff. I hit just for the how to throw him off the ship properly kind of stuff.
Pragmatic.
Right off the ship, man.
His face is
look. Let me tell you why.
I need a flag for.
Let me tell you why.
His face.
Look. If we sparring, right? We sparring, we training. I get hit in the nose, I bleed. No foul. I'm never gonna say nothing about that. Pop me in the mouth, no foul. I'm never gonna say nothing. My arm hurt. I'm never gonna say nothing. But that's a whole different thing from a person transgressing in real time. Once that person does that, then it's not, the same rules don't apply. It's a whole different environment. So this guy didn't engage in an intellectual dialogue with us as a community and say, hey, I think from my perspective, this is what was going on and so forth like that, and be open and receptive to the feedback from the community that says, hey, well, take a look at this and consider that inside of what you're talking about, and then we can grow from that. That would be great. I would love to have that conversation with him. He didn't do that. He took his platform and he built this whole narrative and said, hey, man, this dude, never mind what's going on with this guy, George Floyd family. Oh, man, this dude, he killed himself with the fentanyl. This was a choice. And he emphatically, that's real time stuff. And once you do certain things like that, I just have a hard time, looking at that inside the academic space of sparring with an individual and saying that, we need to give him another break and so forth like that. We don't have no time for that, man.
But
I don't have no time for that.
What if you throw him off the boat, but he had the keys to the locks, to the chains?
Yeah, I don't, because my form of spirituality don't include that. If I throw him off the boat, it's gonna throw me a key down from a bird somewhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my form of spirituality is gonna make sure I'm good no matter what, man. You know what I'm saying? I just, look, he got to sit down.
Yo,
not for the whole entire world. That's not for the whole entire world. I'm very partisan. Maybe somebody else would feel. They'll feel, well, because most times they're going to have some type of straw man argument and say, well, we did so and so and so and so. That's why you can't qualify. You're not, who are you qualified to say and so forth like that? Well, I received my instruction from a different source. I'm informed from a different source. I'm informed from an internal source. I don't need nobody else externally to qualify me. And I'm saying that in terms of allowing a man to either stand in front or to the side and then have an opportunity.
That's a whole deeper joint though, right there.
Where he could jump back into dialogue at the point of time when we forget what he just did, and then try to pull the reins again, and then start guiding the youth in the future and teaching them the same thing. Listen, if he hasn't had a fundamental transformation internally, and I see the growth process has taken place internally, he becomes a whole different person because that mentality that he had is gone. Then you're still not qualified to stand in that particular position in brotherhood. I don't want to stand in brotherhood with a person whose mentality is fundamentally corrupt. And then just because he said, okay, well, I apologize for that last thing. We teach people how to continue to do what's wrong. Be slick the next time. We continue to teach people that, hey, man, you should have never said so. Oh, I apologize. I'll never do it again. And then they do something else, but it's slick now because we done taught them how to do that, and they haven't fundamentally changed. I'm looking at the essence. I'm looking at the essence of this guy, and if his essence doesn't fundamentally change, then that part of the dialogue is not something that he should be privy to. He's not qualified at that point and definitely not to receive that type of allegiance where it's like, no matter what he say, his word is gold. We're just going to back him no matter what because he's a black man. Nah, I've seen too many of these black men run around and do some of the most devilish shit that you ever want to see in your life.
I don't think anybody espouses that. That's the one in the 36 on the yardstick again. Just because he says everything he said is acceptable. I don't think that's it at all. I remember I had a conversation with a sister a couple of years back. This was over one of these issues that had to deal with Africa. I don't remember what it is at the time. And she texted me blasting what's her name? Jay-Z's wife, Beyonce. Blasting Beyonce that she's not doing enough to get into this. And I said to her at the time, I said, the assumption is that everything about what she's doing and not doing is privy to you for you to make that judgment. About 2 weeks later, it came out that Beyonce was knee-deep in organizing a counter response to whatever the issue was. What I'm saying is, I definitely think Kanye was not doing the best that he could to get the message across that he was trying to get. He's not the one to do that. Will we stop him? No, we're never going to stop him. We're never going, because that's him. Just like the slaves who didn't want to leave the plantation. We're never going to get them off the plantation. They're comfortable there. All I'm saying is we should be big enough as a people of spiritual development, of intellectual enlightenment, to be able to have a place for them where they're not dangerous. Freedom of speech, he should be able to say something as stupid as they are. My man told me once a long time ago, freedom means you're free to be dumb. And Kanye is absolutely exemplifying that. He's exemplifying freedom. Fine. I got problems with it. Fine. It's not going to deter us from being our movement. We need to spend less time on having opinions about the negative people in our community and more time with positive movement about how we can keep going in the direction we need to go in. Because a lot of this talk is a lot of energy spent on what Kanye did that was negative, and I don't hear as much energy being put in places about how we can get to where we need to be.
How many different conversations do you hear around like that you know of?
Oh, well, see here in New Haven, there's a small men's group that from time to time we shuffle things back and forth. As a matter of fact, at one time in the midst of the Black Lives Matter thing a couple of years back, there was these two white guys who were really white nationalists who they invited to come by and share, because we wanted to know, what is it that you want? What is it that you think somebody's taking from you? Why is our freedom like a pie? The more people that get a slice, the thinner the slice gets. That's not what freedom, that's not what the rights are. Or why is it that every group, I don't care, children I don't care what the group is, has to come to get an amendment to the Constitution to guarantee the same rights that white men just take for granted? White men have never had to have an amendment to the Constitution. Gays did, women did, blacks did, Latinos did, Asians did, everybody does. But white men don't. We wanted to hear that. But how could we have that conversation if we said, no, he's a white nationalist, he can't sit down here? You don't have to be a part of the decision making.
Did they
have some input into the conversation? I'm talking about Kanye, not the white nationalist.
Did they come sit down?
Yeah, that's where we had this conversation, and we had an agenda to get them to see that it's just hate. You have no reason. We don't. How can you spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, intellectually, financially crush a people for 400 years and then be afraid of them? They have no base, no financial base, no economic base, no spiritual base, because you're giving them Christianity. No, you 400 years you did nothing but do this to them by law. You had the Constitution limiting black people. You crushed. As soon as we get some freedom, you scared like hell. What are you afraid of? We don't have any power, judicial power, legislative power. We have no. What are you so afraid of? But that goes to my thing about
they're afraid of karma.
Or they're afraid that the karma will come from the people that they made it together for 250 years.
You know, like when you owe somebody money and you see them walking down the block, you're like, damn, if I see this dude, I gotta give him this bread, so you avoid him. So now when you're around these kind of people and you see them every day, you know that, like, I see right through you. Like, yo, you know what you did. You know what I'm saying? So
we wanted these guys to experience it and have the conversation about what specifically. So they talked about things like black on black crime. So we squashed that. We said the FBI report doesn't deal with black on black crime. The FBI report says it's proximity murders. So we had to squash that. We had to, every time they would say something, we had to squash that until we finally had to get them to say, hey, man, we just don't like you. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to like me. But you're not liking me means I'm not allowed to breathe on planet Earth. You would like to extinguish me from existence because you don't like me, just like you did the buffalo, the tigers, the Aboriginal people. You know there are no Tasmanians. There are no Tasmanians on this planet. They annihilated an entire species.
That's a whole
nationality of people.
That's a whole joint by itself. The list of things that got annihilated. I see Pop I tapped in. What's good, Pop?
What's up, man? I had to tap into the team.
Yeah, man. What's going on? What's your take on how Ye is being treated? The mindset of the people, Ye's big mouth, the whole thing. What's your take?
Well, want me to start off with Ye? Where you want me to start off at?
Yo, started from where you in at, man. Started from the top.
Man, I heard you say something about Ye. What was the other one?
Yeah, we talking about Ye, people's response to him. We touched on freedom of speech. Is he bugging? Do we alienate our brother? Do we vilify the brother? Justice say, yo, go down with the ship. He asked for it. He only references them. So this is what he wanted. Now he got the smoke. Let him go down. Pop in. You can't not invite him to the barbecue. Face in. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give my little 2 cents on that. Me and you spoke about that earlier. Kanye, first thing, he talks too much. He got a leak in his mouth. That's number one. And this is gonna happen for him because
we're gonna mark out the rest of them.
All
so
right.
we're gonna mark out which ones are sounding.
I'm at work, guys.
This guy, but he got some type of sensitive information. I muted your joint.
This guy's supposed to be toning cables and stuff. What's going on? What you doing over there?
Yeah, listen, I'm not even going to get started. Matter of fact, this is we are flappers. We're not even going to talk. Useless talk.
What's he doing right now, Face?
Look at my hand. Look at my hand. Look at my shirt. Look at my body.
Bullshit. That's what he's doing. Bullshit.
Right? Anyway, see, he changed the narrative of the conversation. Kanye talks too much. This is about to happen to it was destined to happen to him. Do you have a freedom of speech? Yes, you can speak your mind. But how my mother would say sometimes, when your hands in the lion's mouth, you gotta know how to deal with certain situations for your benefit. So by him just being a loose lip cannon, you see everything that's domino affect him. Everything that's domino affect him. I mean, I don't blame him from speaking his mind. But how he spoke his mind and where he spoke his mind at, time and place for everything. And especially if you're a person that's like me going on a platform, coming on this platform and doing something reckless that would damage my whole team. So I got to think first.
But even if it's the truth, though, Pop?
Even though it's the truth, it might damage my whole team. Plenty of times we go through all of this and on the behind the scenes that I might feel away from something, but to the public eye is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And or it might be a feeling of a bad way. So that might damage the whole team just because of how I feel about something.
But see, that goes back to what I said earlier. He don't really have people that have him accountable around him, I think. Like, you know what I'm saying? Nobody that's
nobody accountable around you. You'll never have nobody accountable around you when you have $1 billion and you're running your mouth like that. You'll never have that. You'll never have because just think about it. Just the other day, he was on Drink Champs talking about Talib Kweli. He's wagged this guy. He's fake being around people just to get into the game. Like, he just talks reckless. And it was just destined to come. But I got to go back to work, brother. And it was good tapping in with y'all. Circa 19 Double Industry Hotel, Sunny Winters. Shout out to Sunny Pops for tapping in. I like when the OG comes in and gets it out with the family. You know what I'm saying? Pop Dukes, for real, Pop Dukes. We need you in a lot of our segments. It's a generation gap. It's a generational gap.
Nah, serious stuff.
We have the OG Pops, and then you got an OG like me, maybe you got Sonny or OG, and then people going on a domino effect. So when we talking to people, we talking from all type of different aspects. And when you got an OG like your Pops up there talking from knowledge of wisdom of where he went through, of like he said, the original black man, the original man, And he come from that type of stance of that type of era that where a lot of the youngers and even myself will take knowledge to that.
Yeah, that's real.
And I'm gonna say I got back to work before my so-called manager might try to get me fired. So let me get out of here. That guy's face.
Yo, later, God. That guy is a nut job, yo. Yeah, but I definitely appreciate you, cuz. I appreciate you, Pop. Your face, I appreciate you, bro.
You're already, man. I think what we should do, we should watch that. We should watch that documentary from. I haven't watched it yet, but the girl, what's her name?
Candace Owens.
Yeah, I tried to watch that. And come
where is that? It's on YouTube. Is it on Netflix?
No, actually, I got
a couple
somebody sent me a link, so I'll forward it to you, Sonny, and you can forward it out, and we go from
I'm about to watch that right now.
Yeah. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, let's follow up on that. When I watch portions of it, it'd be interesting to see, what your response is, especially knowing that this is the person that feed this dude all these different concepts. So, see what happens.
Yeah, she's a new Omaroso.
Maybe you get together in about a month and kick it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it don't even got to be that long. We trying to
whatever the schedule is.
Let's put something together.
All right, send me that link, because the last one I went on, they wanted you to give them a bunch of information, emails, and all that stuff like that. I wasn't really feeling all that.
I didn't open it yet, so I don't even know if it's gonna ask you for anything. But someone sent it to me. I'll forward it to Sonny, and hopefully it's